first, and I know we were the first within UNHCR, the first country to actually mint an NFT for refugees. And of course, for us, it wasn't just a question of fundraising or just dropping an NFT just for the sake of it, but it was also, okay, how can we bring together two of the main objectives and the pillars that we have here, for example, here in Switzerland, which are advocates for the refugee cause and raise awareness a bit more about what UNHCR does and who we are, and also on another side, fundraise.
UNHCR and the Cardano Foundation teamed up this year to run a new global initiative for the Cardano blockchain, and this is all around building a charitable mechanism with stake pools to be able to raise funds and have a self-sustaining source of income for all of these charities around the world. And UNHCR, the United Nations Refugee Agency, is doing some really amazing things, and hopefully this becomes a staple template for many, many other charitable organizations around the world. So they can adopt this blockchain technology, this stake pool mechanism of raising funds to be able to keep themselves self-sustained and have a continuous form of revenue. It's really hard sometimes to have a consistent revenue without doing constant campaigns all the time to raise awareness and get people to donate. But this could be a constant thing that happens in the background and be a really stable source of income to help support grassroots initiatives and even some blockchain initiatives to help refugees, displaced people around the world. All right. I have Alvaro joining me on this episode to talk all about this, talk about UNHCR and also about this initiative with the Cardano Foundation as well. If you're interested in delegating to the stake pool, all their details are down below, their ticker, and also a landing page that we made for the team as well. So if you want to have that really quick one-click delegation experience, you can do it directly from the Learn Cardano website. Again, links down below. Let's get into this interview.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
I have Alvaro joining me on this episode to talk a little bit about charity stake pool operations and doing something really cool. This was an initiative from the Cardano Foundation this year, 2023, to try and really drive the sustainability of blockchain within the charity space. And Alvaro is joining me from UNHCR. He is the head of innovation Switzerland there, and he's doing some really cool and interesting things. So Alvaro, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me here, Peter.
Now, I'd love to learn a little bit about your background and how you got into this space, and especially with the refugee agency there. And then tying in blockchain, this is like a really cool thing. And you know, we'll get into it a bit more.
Now, these are very exciting times indeed, Peter. So indeed, as I said, my name is Alvaro, born and raised in Geneva from a various background from everywhere. Parents from Spain, Italy, Venezuelan family as well. And actually, I studied to become a diplomat. That's how I started. And but then things didn't go that well, meaning I was studying more on the legal side of things, and realized pretty soon that this wasn't really for me, and moved on the private sector, where I learned and started working in marketing, and then more in the innovation sector, all the way to becoming a corporate venture builder. And after a while, it made sense, and I guess a lot of people went through this a little bit during the COVID, to really, stop for a little bit and think about what do I really want to do with everything I've learned, with my experience, and figure out that maybe it will be interesting to see if my skills and my experience will be needed back on the UN system. I didn't want to go back to human rights and legal side, because I know I wasn't meant for this, let's say, in a big summary. I wanted to do something a bit more like on the action side, on the program side, and that's why the UNHCR. I grew up in Geneva, and UNHCR is based in Geneva. So I knew that agency for a while, and it made sense for me to go and see if I could help them in a way. That's pretty much how I got there.
So what does UNHCR actually do?
Well, UNHCR as the is, let's say we have like several acronyms across the world, and might not be easy at first, but I like to call it like it's simpler to say it's the UN Refugee Agency, which makes it a bit simpler to understand. Although it's not only about refugees, it's pretty much anyone who's forcibly displaced. So any person who's forced to flee the country. A refugee is when you cross the border, but we also take care of internally displaced person, meaning people who are like forcibly displaced but don't cross the border, for example.
Right.
The UNHCR is mandated by the United Nations General Assembly to lead and coordinate international action in the worldwide protection of refugees and other forcibly displaced people, and also in charge of resolution of refugee problem. That will be like the official line, but it's so much more than we do, and it's an amazing organization that I'm still learning every day at what we do. And to be more precise, I'm actually part of Switzerland for UNHCR, which is imagine it as a kind of a spin-off of UNHCR that is taking care of Switzerland, and officially we are the national partner of UNHCR for the Swiss territory.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, the UN Refugee Agency in general has a special place in my heart because my parents were both refugees from the Vietnam War, and they actually met in Australia. So they didn't meet in Vietnam; they met in Australia. I would not exist if they weren't able to seek refuge in another country, and Australia was where they chose. So I'm forever grateful for all the humanitarian work that agencies such as UNHCR and all their work that they've done to actually make that kind of possibility for people around the world.
It's so many stories, and to be honest, what we say is quite simple: is that it could happen to anyone. And it is true. My family fled to South America also because of civil war, Spanish civil war. So it's very easy to look back in your family tree and see that all of us pretty much have a history of fleeing a country because of conflict.
Yes, very unfortunate. Yeah, with,
unfortunately,
global circumstances at the moment as well. But going back to the UNHCR in Switzerland, that's very convenient in the blockchain space because it's a crypto valley, and you guys can then branch off and do some really interesting and innovative stuff in the blockchain space. So, what are you guys actually doing in the blockchain space, and why even?
Okay, so as far as Switzerland for UNHCR. Indeed, as you mentioned it, the ecosystem, the blockchain ecosystem in Switzerland is very favorable. So it gives us an edge and allows us to be a bit more flexible and room to explore initiatives and possibilities and use cases before they are maybe inspired the UNHCR globally as such. So we really work like a kind of a sandbox for initiatives for such initiatives, and we started like quite early, as I believe we were one of the first, and I know we were the first within UNHCR, the first country to actually mint an NFT for refugees. But I believe it's also one of the first ones in the UN system overall. And of course, for us, it wasn't just a question of fundraising or just dropping an NFT just for the sake of it, but it was also, okay, how can we bring together two of the main objectives and the pillars that we have here, for example, here in Switzerland, which are advocates for the refugee cause and raise awareness a bit more about what UNHCR does and who we are, and also on another side fundraise, because obviously from Switzerland, we're lucky enough not to have like a major. We haven't been seeing any major refugee issue since World War II. So it's more of a country where we're more about the political aspect of advocating for refugees and also fundraising. So with this in mind, we say, let's bring both together, and let's try it out. Let's see how the market reacts, how people react, how the community reacts. And because on top of this, in addition, it's also a community that we don't know much of. We are a humanitarian organization. We're not a tech company, so it's really hard for us to understand the community better. So we dropped the first NFT on UNHCR, which we made it with Hani Abbas, who's a Syrian refugee, who's located now. He had to flee his country because he was a cartoonist and working for famous newspapers in Syria. And obviously, as a cartoonist, as you can imagine, he got a bit into trouble in Syria and had to flee to Geneva. And we asked him quite simply what it is today to be a refugee. And he created this wonderful collection called Windows that we're explaining. So it has this advocacy role and fundraising role of explaining what it is, what it means today for refugee. It is very important for us to give the voice to refugees and not us speaking for them. And therefore, I don't know if you were able to see it, but it's a quite unusual project, let's say in terms of style, the format in the NFT sphere, but it really reached its goal in the advocacy, at least. It really had people talking.
That's very cool. I did have a look at the NFTs, and it's very interesting. It's more of an art piece than anything else, because, like you said, it's trying to raise that advocacy. So I could see that Honey was going through and creating these art pieces and then minting them as an artist, really, rather than like one of those PFP profile pic drops or anything like one of those ape collections. So I do like it, and I do like the message that he's trying to bring across as well. Was it a success in your point of view in terms of raising that type of awareness and what you were trying to get out of it?
In terms of awareness, yes. In terms of fundraising, not really, but it didn't really matter. At the end of the day, the number one goal was really about like to explore possibilities. Is our NFTs a viable, like let's say an interesting path that we should take? Can we also advocate for refugees and not only fundraise with NFTs? Because we were in the middle of that hype, everybody was selling, you had like incredible numbers everywhere. And I think that we reached our objective. And another, let's say, outcome of this initiative that we were also looking for was the fact of telling people, raising our flag and saying, guys, we know we're in a special ecosystem in Switzerland that's very favorable to blockchain initiatives. We are interested. Get in touch. Please get in touch and let's do things together, because we need to learn from you guys. And actually it worked, since that's one of the reasons we're here today.
Exactly. So obviously the Cardano Foundation reached out and wanted to work out a partnership, so some sort of collaboration. Can we talk about this? Some people do know about it, but some people don't. Can we talk about what this collaboration has brought about for UNHCR?
Yes, so it's very, let's say, new still, and we're still learning a lot and working on it. It's been launched. We launched a stake pool for refugees. It was announced during the Cardano Summit in last year, at the end of last year in Lausanne. So it was in Switzerland. We were playing at home, let's say, and and therefore this stake pool is meant to raise funds for refugees. But we're testing it several ways and talking to a lot of people in the community to learn and in a way create a kind of a playbook for any NGOs out there or any UN agencies out there to use afterwards. So we're really exploring again this way of seeing new ways of fundraise, but also advocate for a particular cause, which in our case is the refugee cause. And this stake pool has 100% reward for the projects. So that's unusual, as you know, Peter. But we split this reward into 80 and 20%. 80% will be dedicated to notably the least funded operations in the world, because obviously everybody's talking about Ukraine now with Turkey and Syria, but UNHCR has a mandate for all refugees around the world. And sometimes, unfortunately, a lot of crises are forgotten, but they're still happening, and we still need to be there on the field and help out, help out people forcibly forced to flee there on the ground as well. And therefore, it's very important for us to tell people as well that it's not only about Syria and Ukraine. We're so grateful to see this amazing. This engagement of people and this mobilization everywhere around the world for these two crises, but there is so much more that we can do and that we need to do. Therefore, that's why we decided to really dedicate those 80% for this crisis. So it has a twofold objective. First is obviously to help fund them, but also to tell more about them as well. Tell people about them, explain them a bit more about, okay, what's happening, why it's important to be there and help people out. Thinking about Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo. Colombia as well has been seeing a lot of forcibly displaced people, a lot of displacement. And so this is a kind of raising of an awareness objective as well. The remaining 20%, the very exciting part as well, it is a way for us also to test how we could make the most of the community in terms of bringing use cases and solutions, because those 20% will be dedicated to an innovation fund. And in that innovation fund, it will help fund refugee-led initiatives and also initiatives from the field, meaning that we know that we are a humanitarian organization. We are facing challenges every day, and sometimes a lot of time we lack the solutions to face them, and we pretty much, it's a call to the community to help us come up with these solutions, and we bring the real challenges, because something you don't want is to create a solution for a challenge that doesn't exist. And well, the same thing happens the other way around. So that's why we're trying and we're starting to connect the dots at the end of the day by opening this opportunity to have both worlds connect and create beautiful solutions. Efficient solutions.
That is very cool. I love the split of that 80-20 as well. So 80% to that, all those refugee causes that people don't know about, and really making an impact there. And I think that 80% could make a real big impact. But then this innovation thing, which really, kind of more like grassroots and working from the ground up, from where you can find the problem. So I absolutely love that approach. Now, with that innovation side of the fund, that 20%, are you going to engage with the community? Have you thought about how you're going to engage with the community to try and get that up and running?
Yes, so we're discussing it. We're talking about it with the Cardano Foundation and and with the Global Innovation Hub within UNHCR globally. And the idea is indeed to fund this innovation fund. And once it starts being launched, we have what we call cohorts. Once per year, there is a call for projects on the field. So any field officer from UNHCR from the field can submit a challenge and a solution, but also refugees can submit. And there is this kind of like two-way, like on one way, educate this educational part about what can blockchain do. And on the other side, there's also this real challenge I was talking about, real problems that we're facing on the field. And the way we were saying it is that actually, once we start funding this fund, is to have a seat at the table and to see which projects we're going to be selecting and which ones we can fund with those 20% rewards, and to feed the community in a way like that seat will be a Cardano stake pool for refugees, and then feed back to the community showing what projects there are here and have this kind of conversation going. That would be ideal. But we obviously, technically, we're discussing and seeing also, and we also very, very much looking forward to hear about you guys, how you see it work and what you expect from it. It's everything is very interesting for us to hear about, because it's more of your domain, much more than ours. So let's hear about what you have in mind, guys.
I'm sure there's plenty of people that can tell you how it should best work. So everyone has an opinion here in the Cardano ecosystem. But the state pools in general are a fantastic mechanism for raising funds. There's a lot of mission-driven pools in the Cardano ecosystem at the moment that work with charities, and they donate a lot of their rewards to various charities as well. So as a mechanism for that, absolutely amazing. And I remember when I first started my own state pool about 2 years ago, that charities were actually contacting me and asking, we want to accept cryptocurrency as donations, and especially ADA, because then we can stake it in our own pool and then maybe be self-sufficient one day. Of course, some of those didn't go forth because of all the finance and the legal stuff that had to go through, unfortunately. But it'd be amazing to see your own state pool become self-sufficient and continuously gaining those funds and continuously funding all of these initiatives that you guys keep going through and need to fund in the future. I'm assuming that's the goal, but that would be amazing to see.
No, completely. Having like a staple that's self-sufficient and that we can count on every year will be amazing, for the simple reason that, again, I was mentioning Ukraine and now Turkey and Syria. We unfortunately lack of what we call regular donations. We have lots of donors, and it's human nature. We tend to react to catastrophes when they happen, and that's a normal human feeling. And so there are we often get like one-off donations, which sometimes are hard to plan ahead. It's important as well for us to instead of, I'm giving you an example, instead of $240 at once, what about giving us $20 per month for a year? That for us is a lot better, because it allows us to actually plan ahead, and it's much more, let's say, efficient. So the same goes with the stake pool. It's like regular rewards that we can count on and plan every year for a specific topic. So that's something that can really help. That's why we actually, just at the beginning, we just also in a way we're going to work with this innovation fund, because it all depends also on how we can actually make it work together and see what we can count on, what's the mechanism, because obviously the more reward we get per year, the more voice and the more weight we'll have in that innovation fund as well, into those project selection process.
Definitely. Now, it's always hard to gain delegation, for a full self-sustaining state pool at the moment. If you manage to get the 67 or so million ADA to your pool, it's pretty much go from there. You'll never need to look back. But in terms of gaining that delegation at the moment, it's pretty hard. A lot of small state pool operators struggle with that, and I'm assuming you guys may struggle with that as well. Even though there's that charity aspect, this is like Cardano Foundation initiative, there's still the motivation from a lot of delegates that, what do I get out of this? Yeah, sure, I'm donating to you guys, and I've got warm fuzzies in my heart now, but I could have put my ADA somewhere else and fed my family or whatever it is, make my family financially independent. So there's that incentive that you may need to give to your delegates as well. Have you thought about that and what you might have planned for your delegates, considering it's 100% margin stake pool?
Yes, we are discussing, Peter, and it's a topic that really we have at heart. I'm actually living in I'm going to NFT Paris. We're going to the Paris Blockchain Week. We're going to go there to meet people and really listen to several ways on what could be interesting for delegators and what they expect from us in terms of participation. It's a new field for us. It's really about, is it only about like having I compare it a lot to a branch that takes care of like big foundations and corporates. That is called fundraising for corporates and foundations. We call it PPH internally. And they often have like this special service, like kind of more of a B2B service. Like they do special briefings, they do special events for them. So are we going that way as well with the stake pool? Are we going more into seeing maybe with tokens, with NFTs, it's all these actually are interesting paths that we're actually exploring and discussing about to see what's the best way forward. But we are definitely thinking about this and discussing it with the Cardano Foundation.
Okay. In terms of engaging with you guys, like the delegates that delegate to your pool and all that now, is there a way or mechanism or area or place that we can go to actually communicate with the team there so that we can start giving feedback at this point in time?
Yes, so we just created a dedicated Twitter account that's exclusively for innovation of Switzerland for UNHCR. And obviously, this is a big part of it. I will share the address with you, but it's like you just go on Switzerland for UNHCR innovation, and you see it, and you can start interacting with us there. We also have a page on UNRefugees.ch, which is the Switzerland for UNHCR website as well, and it's a blockchain for refugees. You should find us. I will also share it with you. And these are the two main platforms at the moment. We also obviously are seeing and thinking about maybe entering Discord. I know it's a different. It will be a first. It will be a first for UNHCR for sure. I think nobody else is there in there. But we're also obviously exploring the possibility of going there. We have a very highly motivated community manager who's been superb. It's been amazing. She's Ruxanda. She's been amazing and really is like giving all her energy into this way of okay, how can we get in touch and communicate and really provide the possibilities of interaction with the community. And so again, also here we're starting, but there is only one way, and it's up.
I'll be very impressed if a UN agency opened up a Discord server and started engaging with their community that way. I'd be very, very impressed. Okay. Now, there's a couple of questions from the community in general, and I'll tie these ones back in. So far, in terms of initiating these blockchain initiatives, you had the NFT project and now this state pool that you guys are setting up. What were the biggest challenges that you faced in initiating these projects?
Well, I would say there is the number one challenge is obviously the bit of controversy and maybe lack of knowledge of the, let's say, our community, not the Cardano community, let's say the international community. As soon as you hear about blockchain, NFT, crypto, people, most of the people, non-natives, are really about like starting to doubt a little bit or really like wonder if should we go that way? You know, I'm just giving you an example that happened recently. I think I shared with you another time this amazing project that's being led by UNHCR Global, by Carmen Head, the treasurer of UNHCR, which is a way to allow disbursements, cash assistance to people forced to flee. So pretty much by just having a mobile phone, you have your wallet with you, and you can actually. So that's pretty much your lifeline. Sometimes when you flee to another country, and they can pretty much go to any like MoneyGram and get back the funds to pay their rent, buy food or anything. So this project, Carmen Head was interviewed by the Washington Post recently, and we're talking about like a normal wallet, nothing that they can actually play with or anything like that. And immediately, I believe that in the Washington Post, they immediately asked her, "But don't you think you're favoring gambling? Opening up to possibility of gambling with crypto? If we do that with people forced to flee, which is completely, there is nothing else you can do than go to pretty much a MoneyGram and get your fiat money out of that. You can't really invest with it or anything like that. So that shows you a little bit the way that we're facing a few challenges in terms of people really being careful with anything blockchain related, and even more crypto related. And that's why we need to go step by step. It's a new technology. The education part is very important for us. And structures like us, like a Switzerland for UNHCR, has an advantage because since we're a national partner, we have a bit more freedom. So we can indeed work as a sandbox, a little bit of of a soundboard and
Yeah.
actually test some of the things before and show and convince, a proof of concept and convince the larger organization that we can actually do something here.
There's also other great use cases for blockchain as well, like digital identities and things like that. And as a refugee, you're fleeing your country. The last thing you may grab, or even if you still had it, was like identifying documents, like birth certificates or whatever it is. Like, have you guys thought about doing blockchain solutions around that? And if so, like you got privacy things that you need to think about in terms of storing that data as well. Have you gone down that path yet?
Well, indeed, we haven't. We're just at the beginning, and it's
Yep.
it's an exciting times to really work on this use case. And I think the possibilities are humongous. It's huge what can be done, and identity is obviously a topic that comes back a lot because obviously. Not a lot of people knows it. They see UNHCR, UN Refugee Agency. They think we only, help people fleeing, set up the camps. People have this image of the tents, the white tents on in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert. But we do a lot more than that. And actually, one of the main activities on the ground that we do is actually provide protection by registering people. So pretty much
Yeah.
giving them an ID, identifying them. And so, as you can imagine, a use case involving blockchain that could help us solve this or make this solution more efficient is something that we're really looking into. However, we need to take it step by step, but it is indeed something we're looking into, and it could be solving a lot of issues because of data breach that happened in the last few years. You probably heard about it, because the issues that often this data is available out there, and the last thing you want to do is that people of concern's data being breached and obtained by maybe not the right party or people that don't want only good for them. And the other also question that we have on that matter is also the digital dilemma, that is the fact that who owns data. I mean, should we be the ones that own this data? I mean, do the people that we serve at the end of the day are really allowing us to use their data like this? I mean, it's a lot of questions that we have, and that actually crypto, with this kind of anonymity that it provides, could actually help us solve in a way. This pseudonymity. Sorry for the French accent, but
Yep.
the way it works, since it works with pseudonym, it's something that's obviously super interesting, because it's not like raw data that you have somewhere and then you need to use like this.
Very, very interesting use cases for the future, that's for sure. Now, in terms of anyone that is wanting to actually be a part of this initiative and actually delegate to your stake pool, where do we find that information? I'm assuming on the UNHCR website, that blockchain page you were talking about before.
Yes, everything is in there. And if you're already familiar with staking, our stake pool is called WRFGS, which means, at the end of the day, with refugees, which is the stance we've decided to take, and we take every day. We stand with them.
Beautiful. Excellent. We've also took a little initiative, and we've built a little landing page for you guys on the Learn Cardano website, where delegates can just jump in and click delegate with a couple of clicks of a wallet and start delegating directly to the stake pool as well. So it's a little gift from the community there for you guys, just to make things a little bit easier.
Oh, thank you very much, Peter, and the community. That's very appreciated. I mean, any bit can help, and again, we're learning from you guys in this, and we're listening to you guys, because we have a lot to learn.
Beautiful. I'll put all the links and references in the show notes, so if anyone wants to find out more information about you guys, connect and hopefully join your Discord server very soon. All the links there in the show notes for everyone. So, but Alvaro, thank you so much for joining me on this episode and talking about everything that UNHCR does for the refugees around the world, and also this beautiful, fantastic new initiative that you guys are working with the Cardano Foundation around your stake pool.
Thank you very much, Peter, for having me here. And yes, looking forward to meeting you guys in any other event or online.
And don't forget, you can get to all the details in our show notes. You can go to our website at learncardano.io. Leave a comment down below if you think or know of an initiative that UNHCR could actually support as well. I'm sure they would love to know about it. Now, if you like this type of content, if you enjoy Cardano in general, please consider giving me that thumbs up, click subscribe, click on the notification bell, and you get instant update alerts as soon as I put out some more content all around the Cardano ecosystem. But I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.